Clear your mind, find your peace. Imagine for a moment a mind untouched by worry, a heart free from fear, and a spirit at peace with the world. What would it feel like to walk through life without the weight of stress and confusion, to experience each moment with clarity and calm? Today I invite you to embark on a journey toward that very peace. As we explore how to clear our minds and find tranquility, let us remember that true serenity begins within us. Stay with me as we uncover timeless principles that can transform your life, bringing peace into every corner of your being. Number 1. Control what you can, let go of what you cannot. In life, we are often overwhelmed by the things we cannot control. The world is full of uncertainties, from unpredictable events to the actions of others, and it is easy to find ourselves fixated on these external forces. However, true peace of mind comes not from attempting to control the uncontrollable, but from recognizing the difference between what is within our power and what is not. One of the greatest sources of mental turmoil is the constant struggle against things that lie outside of our reach. We worry about the weather, the decisions others make, and the course of events we cannot influence. These uncontrollable aspects of life can create unnecessary stress and anxiety if we allow them to dominate our thoughts. Yet when we focus on what is within our control, our thoughts, our actions, and our responses to circumstances, we find a greater sense of clarity and peace. There is a small story that captures the essence of this idea. A man once stood by a river, watching the current rush by. He grew frustrated, feeling helpless as the water flowed relentlessly forward. He reached down and tried to stop the current with his hands, but it was futile. The more he tried to control the water, the more he became exhausted and discouraged. After hours of struggle, an old sage came to him and asked, "Why do you fight against the flow of the river?" The man explained, "I want to stop it, to control it, to make it move the way I want it to." The sage smiled gently and said, "The river flows on its own, just as the world moves around us. You can neither stop nor change it. But you can choose to stand by the bank and let the river flow without troubling your heart. You can control your response to it. Focus on what you can do, take in the beauty of the scene, enjoy the moment, and let go of the struggle." In that moment, the man understood. The river would flow regardless of his attempts to control it, and only by releasing his resistance could he find peace. The same holds true for life's challenges. We cannot control the behavior of others, the passage of time, or many of the external factors that affect our lives. But we can control how we respond to them, how we allow them to affect us, and how we choose to live in the face of them. The practice of letting go begins with a simple acknowledgement. We are not omnipotent. We are human, and our power lies in our ability to direct our attention and our energy. When we focus on what we can control, our own actions, our own attitudes, and our own choices, we create space for peace. Instead of fighting against the current, we learn to navigate it with grace, understanding that resistance only adds to our mental burden. Peace is found not in altering the world to our desires, but in changing how we engage with it. By accepting that some things are beyond our control, we free ourselves from the constant battle and make room for tranquility. Let go of what you cannot change and invest your energy in what you can. This is where true peace resides. Number 2, the power of perspective. One of the most profound sources of peace lies not in external circumstances, but in the way we choose to perceive those circumstances. Life by nature is unpredictable. We face challenges, experience disappointments, and encounter hardship. However, it is not the events themselves that determine our inner peace, but how we view and respond to them. Our perspective shapes our reality, and shifting this perspective can unlock clarity and tranquility even in difficult times. There is a small story that illustrates the power of perspective. A young farmer lived in a village, and one day his horse ran away. The neighbors came to him and said, "What bad luck, your horse is gone. Now how will you work the fields?" The farmer simply replied, "Maybe so, maybe not, we'll see." A few days later the horse returned, bringing with it a wild stallion. The neighbors exclaimed, "What good fortune, now you have 2 horses." The farmer again said, "Maybe so, maybe not, we'll see." Later the farmer's son attempted to ride the wild stallion but was thrown off and broke his leg. The neighbors said, "What terrible luck, your son is hurt." The farmer's response remained unchanged, "Maybe so, maybe not, we'll see." A week later, the king's army came through the village, conscripting young men to fight in a war. The farmer's son, due to his broken leg, was spared. The neighbors once again commented, "What a blessing your son was not taken." And the farmer's calm reply was, "Maybe so, maybe not, we'll see." This story encapsulates the essence of perspective. At each turn, what appeared to be misfortune or good fortune was in reality an event in itself, with no inherent meaning except the one ascribed to it by the observer. The farmer did not allow external circumstances to dictate his state of mind. Instead, he remained neutral, understanding that life unfolds in unpredictable ways, and what initially seems like a setback may later reveal itself to be a hidden blessing. The moral of this story is simple. Our peace is often disturbed by our attachment to judgments and expectations. When we label events as good or bad, we set ourselves up for mental and emotional turbulence. If we embrace life as it comes, without prematurely assigning labels to situations, we can maintain an inner calm, no matter the outward circumstances. The farmer's detached response demonstrates the power of perspective. By withholding judgment, he avoided the emotional roller coaster that most would experience when confronted with such events. Perspective allows us to control our inner world, even when the outer world seems chaotic. If we choose to view setbacks as opportunities for growth, disappointments as lessons, and challenges as necessary components of our journey, we can transform our experiences. A shift in perspective can bring peace in moments of hardship, turning obstacles into stepping stones. Our peace is not governed by the world around us, but by the way we choose to interpret it. By embracing the power of perspective, we free ourselves from the anxiety of trying to control every outcome, and instead find serenity in accepting life as it is. Number 3. The present moment. The present moment is one of the most powerful tools we have in our pursuit of peace. Too often we find ourselves preoccupied with the past or anxiously anticipating the future. Our minds become filled with regrets about what has already happened or fears about what might happen. These distractions cloud our thoughts and prevent us from fully experiencing the peace that exists in the here and now. True clarity and tranquility come when we learn to embrace the present moment, releasing the grip of past and future anxieties. A simple story can shed light on this concept. There was once a young monk who was troubled by the constant noise in his mind. He could not stop thinking about the past, about mistakes he had made and opportunities he had missed. He also worried constantly about the future. What would happen to him, to his monastery, and to his loved ones? His mind was overwhelmed, and peace seemed distant. One day the monk went to his master for guidance. "Master," he said, "my mind is restless. I cannot find peace. I am haunted by the past and consumed by the future. How can I find tranquility?" The master smiled and handed him a small cup of tea. He said, "Drink this tea, but do not spill a single drop." The monk, confused but willing to listen, carefully sipped from the cup. As he drank, he focused entirely on the task at hand. holding the cup steady and taking each sip slowly. His attention shifted fully to the present moment, and for the first time in a long while, his mind grew quiet. He drank the tea, savoring each sip, and when the cup was empty, he looked up at his master. The master asked, "How was the tea?" The monk replied, "It was perfect. For the first time I was truly present." The master nodded and said, "In the present moment there is peace. When you focus on what is before you, the past and future lose their grip on you. The key to tranquility lies in embracing the now." This simple story teaches a profound lesson. Peace is found when we turn our attention fully to the present moment. When we focus on what is happening right now, without judgment or distraction, we release the mental clutter that causes anxiety. In the act of being present, we let go of the weight of past regrets and future worries. Living in the present moment is not about ignoring the past or avoiding the future. It is about understanding that the past is behind us and the future is uncertain. What we have is now. When we truly live in the moment, we allow ourselves to be fully engaged with our lives, whether we are working, talking with others, or even resting. The present is the only time in which we have true control. The past is gone and the future is yet to come, but the present is where we create our reality. When we bring our full attention to the present moment, we naturally experience greater peace. We stop overthinking, stop dwelling on things beyond our control, and begin to appreciate the beauty and stillness that surrounds us. Like the monk with his cup of tea, we begin to savor life, one moment at a time, and in doing so, we discover a deep and lasting peace. Number 4, accepting life's challenges. Life is not without its difficulties. Every individual faces obstacles, trials, and moments of hardship. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, the setback of a failed endeavor, or the struggle against illness or financial strain, life continuously presents us with challenges that seem overwhelming. However, true peace does not come from avoiding these challenges or wishing them away. Instead, peace arises when we accept them as an inevitable part of life and learn to navigate through them with grace. There is a story of an old farmer that highlights this principle. The farmer had a horse that was known for being strong and reliable. One day the horse ran away. His neighbors, upon hearing the news, came to him and said, "How terrible, your horse has run away. This is a disaster." The farmer simply replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." A few days later, the horse returned, bringing with it several wild horses. The neighbors, seeing the good fortune, exclaimed, "What good luck! You've gained even more horses." The farmer's response was again, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." The following week, the farmer's son tried to tame one of the wild horses, but was thrown off and broke his leg. The neighbors, now sympathetic, said, "What bad luck, your son is hurt and can't help you with the work." The farmer calmly said, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." A week later, the king's army came through the village, conscripting all able-bodied young men to fight in a war. Because of his son's injury, the farmer's son was spared. The neighbors, now seeing the result of the seemingly bad events, remarked, "What good fortune! Your son has been saved from the war." And once again, the farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." This story illustrates the essence of accepting life's challenges without judgment or resistance. The farmer did not view each event as inherently good or bad. Instead, he accepted whatever came his way, understanding that life is unpredictable and that each situation, no matter how difficult, may hold unforeseen value or teach us an important lesson. The key to peace is in how we respond to challenges. Often we resist hardship, wishing things were different, and this resistance creates internal turmoil. We long for an easier path, for life to be free from pain and struggle. However, challenges are part of the fabric of life, and they are not always negative in their consequences. In fact, adversity often brings growth, wisdom, and the opportunity for resilience. By accepting life's challenges, we stop fighting against what we cannot change, and instead focus on how we can grow through them. Just like the farmer, who did not let events disturb his peace of mind, we must learn to see challenges as part of the natural flow of life. It is not the challenges themselves that disturb us, but our unwillingness to accept them. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity or resignation. It means embracing what comes, trusting that even difficult experiences can help shape us into stronger, wiser individuals. When we accept life's challenges with an open heart and mind, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering, making room for peace to emerge. Number 5. Mindfulness and self-reflection. In a world filled with distractions, it is easy to lose touch with ourselves. The constant noise, the busyness of daily life, and the never-ending stream of thoughts can cloud our minds, leaving us overwhelmed and disconnected from the peace that resides within. One of the most effective ways to clear the mind and find tranquility is through mindfulness and self-reflection. These practices help us observe our thoughts and actions without judgment, allowing us to cultivate clarity, understanding, and inner peace. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, without attachment to the past or anxiety about the future. It is the art of paying attention to what is happening around us and within us with complete awareness. When we practice mindfulness, we stop reacting automatically to our thoughts and emotions. Instead, we observe them with a calm and accepting mindset. This allows us to break free from the endless cycle of worries and mental clutter, creating space for peace. There is a story of a wise old teacher who once told his students, "The mind is like a pond. When the water is clear, you can see the bottom. But when the water is stirred up, everything becomes cloudy and it's impossible to see anything clearly." The students asked, "How can we clear the water of the pond?" The teacher replied, "Do nothing. Let the water settle on its own. The clarity comes when you stop disturbing it." In the same way, our minds often become clouded by thoughts and emotions. We constantly stir the water of our mind with judgments, worries, and distractions. But when we practice mindfulness, we allow the mind to settle naturally, just as the pond's water does. By observing our thoughts and feelings without interference, we give them the space to pass through, without becoming overwhelmed by them. Self-reflection is a complementary practice to mindfulness. It involves taking time to look inward, to examine our thoughts, actions, and behaviors, and to gain insight into our own minds. Self-reflection is not about judging ourselves, but about gaining a deeper understanding of our patterns, motivations, and responses. By reflecting on our experiences, we can learn from them and make more conscious decisions moving forward. There is a story of a young man who sought the guidance of a wise elder. The young man was struggling with anger and frustration, and he wanted to know how to find peace. The elder gave him a simple task. Each evening, sit in silence for a few moments and reflect on your day. Ask yourself, what caused me to feel angry? What could I have done differently? When you do this, you will begin to understand yourself better. The young man followed the elder's advice. Over time, he noticed patterns in his reactions, times when he became angry for no real reason, moments when he reacted out of fear or insecurity. Through self-reflection, he was able to identify the triggers of his anger and, eventually, began to manage his emotions more effectively. Mindfulness and self-reflection allow us to take a step back from our habitual reactions and view our lives from a more objective perspective. They help us develop a deeper awareness of ourselves, which is the foundation for peace. When we are mindful, we engage with the present moment without distraction. When we reflect on our experiences, we gain insight that leads to growth and wisdom. Through these practices, we can clear the mental clutter and discover the tranquility that is always within us. The path to peace is one that requires intentional practice and a deep understanding of ourselves and the world around us. By clearing our minds, focusing on what we can control, embracing the present moment, accepting life's challenges, and practicing mindfulness and self-reflection, we unlock the tranquility that resides within us. Peace does not come from the absence of difficulty, but from the way we engage with life's ups and downs. May we all find the strength to cultivate peace in our hearts, no matter the circumstances. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for taking the time to reflect with me today. May clarity and peace guide your steps forward.